There is a Solution for That is sponsored by VARC Solutions. VARC Solutions helps small businesses succeed by delivering expert QuickBooks bookkeeping, consulting, quick-base development, and integrated solutions. If you own a small to medium-sized business that uses QuickBooks or QuickBase, the experts at VARC Solutions can help. In business since 1999, with people who care and the knowledge and experience to solve your toughest problems. Visit VARCsolutions.com for all your QuickBooks needs. Welcome back to another edition of There's a Solution for That, where we help small businesses succeed by discussing challenging business problems and best-in-class solutions. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of There's a Solution for That. My name is Brad White, and we have a great guest on the show today to talk about leadership and also systems misalignment. So Hanna Bauer, the owner of HEARTnomics, is here to talk to us about that topic. So Hanna, great to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be with you, Brad. Excited for a new year, excited for our conversation at this time, and just looking forward to an insightful conversation for you and your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's one of my favorite topics, leadership in general. Any topic on leadership is something I really enjoy diving into. And I think there's a lot of good reasons for that. When you go beyond a solopreneur and you start building a company, building an organization, you have to lead, right? You can't just assume things are going to happen, and you can't and your people expect expect you to lead. And so you can do it well, and you can do it not so well. So the good news as an owner or business leader, you have a choice, and I think the right choice is to work on it and focus on it. So this is always a fun topic, and but you've got a unique spin on this. We're not just talking about leadership, we're talking about leadership and systems misalignment. So tell me a little bit more about that, because I know that's one of your areas of focus.
Yeah. So, one of the main things and how I serve leaders is that, leaders who don't just want to do the thing, but want to do the right thing and want to do the thing right, meaning like it's both ethical, right? Like there's the ethical things. Like I just want to be busy. And this is what we find a lot with leaders, right? Like we're doing, we're getting it, we're getting it done, getting tasks done, and, one after the other, we measure a lot of productivity, sometimes by KPIs, but those KPIs have not been measured in a while. We may not even understand really how the KPIs are serving the mission and the vision. So I find that a lot in helping leaders, and when especially very busy, high performing leaders, that is this even the right thing we're supposed to do? And how do we know what the right thing is? One, the ethical part, but also because things change. I mean, suddenly, what may have seemed right or what made sense when we were doing our forecast, back when our 5-year plan 5 years ago, it felt right, but it just doesn't feel right anymore. Or maybe now the competitors, people who didn't think that, people that were competitors are suddenly now competitors. So maybe like the right thing or what we thought was going to be the right direction is not. So that's where the alignment comes in. Alignment is the ability to be able to see, as you shift, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to stay straight in one way, but it allows you, when you're in alignment, you're able to shift and adapt. So that's the one thing with the right, and then doing it right. Because once like, you're in alignment, you are making, you're adapting, right? It requires adaptability. It requires agility, right? Just think about driving a car. You gotta be agile in responding to times when you have to brake. And sometimes it's not your fault, right? Just suddenly a car comes in front or the light suddenly change. And you still have to be agile enough to be able to respond to the times that you need to slow down and the times you need to go fast. But in that, also doing it right. And that speaks to the structure. That speaks to the systems. That speaks to the feedback loops. In times of change, in times when you're driving. I mean, again, we go back to the GPS. If I take a wrong turn, do I know what the wrong turn is? I mean, that's what I need to have the structure, some sort of milestones, something that's telling me, right? The infrastructure that is telling me that we're doing it the right way. And when we're doing it right, doesn't mean that we're getting it perfect. I'm not talking about perfection, but I am talking about excellence. And excellence is different. In excellence, you are failing. In excellence, you may make a wrong turn. You know, it's not the end of the world. You just may get there a different way. Excellence requires you to learn from failures. Excellence actually requires you to fail because when you're excellent, guess what you're also doing? You're innovating. So when
Yeah.
we're talking about leadership and alignment, it's being able to create those environments that where you can align. Well, first of all, internally as a leader, where I know when I'm feeling a bit off, what do I need to reassess for myself so I can give that, and also for my organization, where do they need to be so that alignment, we're able to get to those, to be able to serve and the performance metrics that we're looking for.
Well, let me ask you this. So you mentioned alignment several times. So, when you talk about alignment, are you talking about alignment with like market and market trends, or are you thinking more along what is our strategic plan, and am I in alignment with my strategic plan? Like, just give us some clarity there.
First, alignment is to who you are, right? I mean, because the market, you can't control where that's going.
Sure.
But in relation to your purpose, if individually as a leader of, you know, we're talking about their fulfillment. Fulfillment
Mm-hmm.
is a big part of what we do, of what the type of work that we're in, the teams that we have. But the same thing for the organization, in alignment to what? In alignment to the vision, the mission, the values of the organization. You see what ends up happening in consistently it comes up when I'm serving with, you know, board of directors, or when I'm serving the C-suite. A lot of times is the ideas may differ, but once we're able to go back to like, okay, what is it that we're here for? And that is the alignment part. Okay, how does this serve the mission that we're looking to accomplish? Is this the mission that we still share? Is this what we're here for? The whole reason for our
Right.
existence, the purpose of what we're doing. So the alignment first comes internal alignment, because when I'm aligned internally, then I can execute with excellence outside. I can respond to the
Yeah.
market, and I do have to keep an eye on the market. I do have to keep an eye on what's going on with my talent pool, with the economics, but because it's going to require me to navigate through all that. But I won't be able to do it unless I'm aligned.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you, how do you, um, how do you adapt while, so I know this is kind of I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question the right way. So, like, one is being adaptable, but I think you can almost be so adaptable that you're just being tossed and turned all over the place, and you don't have that rudder that's keeping you going in the right direction. So what is it from your experience that helps a company not just be adaptable, but stay on track with something that is not just today's whim? And I decided to change it, and I changed it last week, and I changed it 3 weeks before.
Right. So, well, that goes first of all, again, with the mission, right? Because the mission is going to dictate what things you need to be adaptable to. So you're talking about mission critical. I know you
Yeah.
probably heard that before. You know, is this a mission critical, or is this like a nice to have? Is this, you know, what type of work is this? But when we're talking about adaptability, there's change that happens to us in a sense, like, you know, an organization be a policy change. It could be a standards change. For example, that happened to me when I was in the publishing industry back in 2010. And we suddenly, the standards for the work that we were doing changed like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a matter of in less than a year. So what did that do? It made our product almost obsolete overnight. And also it opened up the market to all of these much bigger competitors where we were before a niche market. Now we became a place where everybody wanted to play. So those were external changes that we had to adapt to, because it was still important for us to serve our client, our customer that we've known for so many years. So we
Right.
needed to adapt to that. Now we couldn't become the big competitor. That was not our spot. That was not our place. So for us to adapt, we had to get back to what is our core. What are the core services? What are we really? The question became, are we a content provider or are we a platform provider? Because the content and the platform were different things. That's what they were being differentiated.
Mm.
So we had to really understand, where is our value? That's what's going to keep you grounded in all these changes, because you may have done things. For example, content provider can be provided in adaptive software, can be provided through books, can be provided through courses, can be adapted in person, can be provided through Zoom. But what is our core? You know, what is our core service? And if it's that curated curriculum, then we had to stay in that. It may express itself in different ways, but we still were true to what we did. And we had to make sure that we were winning in developing and investing heavily in what we did so that they can be expressed in different ways. So how does a company keep it, and all this adapting? You may adapt in the way that you deliver something, but you still have to stay true to your core. You got to know
Okay.
who
The
you are.
mission, you
You
going back
got
to
to
like
know who
what
you
you're
are.
about, what's the mission, what are we trying to do here?
Right.
Not changing that. Maybe the how
No.
changes, but not the what and the who and the why and what
The
we're trying to achieve.
deliverability.
Yeah, got it.
Hmm.
Got it. Okay. Well, and so talk to us a little bit more about the systems part because you mentioned
Yeah.
systems misalignment. And so I'm curious about how that plays in with the kind of work that you do.
So if we look at organizations, like I love to look at organizations as the living organisms that they are. I mean, if you look at the human body, we have the respiratory system, the circulatory system, cardiovascular, muscular system, right? And when one of those systems is off, although the other system might be well, it's going to impact the rest of the body, right? I mean, like if you physically don't feel well, it's gonna impact the way that you feel emotionally. It's gonna impact the way that you're able to perform. Well, it may even impact your speech, although you don't have a speech problem, but because something physically has impacted it, or the lungs are not working well, it's gonna impact that. So that's a system, right? Understanding that one system is going to impact the other systems. Well, in our organization, it's the same thing. We have systems. We have the marketing system, right? We have your human resources system. We have the leadership system. We have the technology system. So we have systems that what we need as leaders is we're introducing the solutions, right? I mean, you're responding to change or you're causing change because we need to go somewhere. And you're actually implementing change in foreseeing the future. Understanding that one change in one area is going to impact other systems because a system is not a system in and of itself in an
Mm-hmm.
organization. The same way that an organization itself, although it's a system, it doesn't exist on its own. It has, you have customers, right? Markets are a system, community is a system. That's why we talk about collective impact. That's why we need the importance of collaboration. So when we're talking about systems, is understanding, having a systematic view when implementing change
Mm-hmm.
of not only how is it going to impact me here in the current daily activities that we're trying to do, the results, but also what is going to be the impact on the systems that are around me, because this is where I see time and time again the systematic, well, the change management failing is being blindsided by the response of the other systems or not taking into account the other systems that are feeding into it and that are responding to
Yeah,
mine.
I was going to ask you, like, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see? And it sounds like change management or the lack of management of change is maybe it. But kind of give us an example of some maybe some of the mistakes you've seen companies make and how they could have done it better.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's not asking that question. There is a mistake I'm making is not asking the question, what mistake am I making? What is one of the things? The one of the examples I can give you, one that is not only impacting organizations I work with, but really is a almost to the pandemic level. The problem is the lack of readiness in digital transformations, readiness in humans. So that is, the human is a system inside an organization. That
Mm-hmm.
is, we're talking the culture. We're talking the morale of the people. We're talking about the way that people, do they find a place where do they see themselves where they belong? So in digital transformations, and I made that mistake myself, became a black belt in Six Sigma. I was very good in processes and systems. And hey, when I got really good at processes, guess what? Everything, kind of like when you're a hammer, you look at everything like a nail. That was me. Everything was a nail. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to like, oh, we got a process for that, got a process for that, got a process for that. So it became really good because that's what you do. When you're a hammer, you look at everything like that. Like we need to pound it. That was a mistake. Because in doing that for me, what was it? We were looking at implementing an entire new way, at the time, a software delivery of the products, but also a way to input. This is at the beginning of the CRM for us, inputting the information of the customers. Well, what happened? For example, sales system. What did it mean for them to input new information in a platform that they didn't understand? Slow down in sales. For people that are very
Yeah.
much tied to commissions, do you think they're going to be happy about that? No. Are they going to be integrous to the process itself? No, this is slowing me down. It makes no sense. I spent just as much time trying to implement something into the cell system that now what? Because the cell system was slowing down, guess what happened to the rest of the part when a business slows down in sales?
Hmm.
Everything else is slowing down. Well,
Right.
it wasn't because it was the wrong thing to do. It was the right thing to do. We needed a better customer management. We needed
Yeah.
a better way to invoice our people. We needed to be able to respond in time. It just wasn't delivered well. My salespeople, I did not take the time to get them ready emotionally, humanly, whatever it is that they needed, not what I felt they needed as a
Yeah.
training, but what they needed so that we wouldn't experience the sales. What it became a disaster.
Yeah.
Eventually, we just went back to the way we did for a while. We had to go back. Let's just take the
Yeah.
orders back to like writing it down to
I've
whatever
s-
was familiar.
I've seen that before. Just the whole concept of go slow to go fast. I don't know if you ever heard that
Yes.
phrase, but I think it applies in that scenario. It's like if you're trying to rush through a systems implementation, you're going to get blowback, right? You're going to get resistance. You're going to get people saying, "I don't understand." I'm frustrated about this, this, and this, which ultimately causes more frustration and longer time to implement. Whereas if you took more time up front to say, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing, here's what we're planning to do.
Hmm.
Let's make sure that we include some time to train on how to use this new system. And also, quite frankly, let's get your feedback on it, because it may not work exactly the way we want, and maybe we need
Right.
to make some changes to it. And so let's build in some time to get familiar. Let's get some feedback. Let's build in time to make the changes so that we're all happy with this and getting what we want. And that takes time.
It takes time. And
But it
Brad, you're
might
absolutely
save
right.
you a lot of time down the line and a lot less
Yes.
frustration. A lot of people feel more included, uh,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Absolutely, Brad. I mean, it's what you're talking about is very simple. Basically, you're saying make time to listen to other people.
Yeah.
That's it. Just like, because you know what? We may not need all those features. We may not need to learn all these features before. Perhaps there's some features that we need to learn primarily for one part that others don't need to learn. That we need to understand how they work, but we need to
Yeah.
spend more time in this. But really, you're hitting it right where you say you hit is making
Yeah.
the time, and it takes time. With a lot with the digital transformations is the deadline drives the time or whatever the contract or whatever it is that they're wanting to unveil in a certain time. And everybody doesn't get there. And it's not that we are changing the standards, not at all. Again, in my industry, I am very much about standards. If we don't have that, we have to be, in order to be integrous to the process, integrous to the system, we have to be integrous to the standard. And the
Hmm.
standards don't fluctuate because you are the different people. You have to adapt to meet the standard, but you still have to meet the standard. The mission is
Right.
still the mission. The way that we perform is still the way that we perform. Uh, but I need to build in that time in meeting that standard to be able to do
Hmm.
exactly that. And that is the biggest failure point. Very simple,
Yeah.
but that we're not doing it, especially in digital transformations. But you talked about ownership. Absolutely. If you feel if you're included, you're going to be adopting it quicker. You need early adopters. You need champions within
Yep.
the projects, not just whoever is unveiling it. So you need to get your champions.
Yep.
You need to get your sponsors. You need to bring into the table the stakeholders. And the stakeholders is not whoever has the title or who owns it. The entire organization is who owns the process. Those are the
Well,
stakeholders.
yeah, and I've actually learned that lesson on both sides. I think I've made the mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes and I've tried to do it better, each time. But like one of the things that I learned was as an owner, it's very easy to come up with an idea and just go to your team and say, "This is what we're doing. Here's,
Yeah.
go do it," right? And so when we started doing our strategic planning process, we actually started this process about 4 or 5 months ago. I very intentionally said, this is not my strategic plan. This is our strategic plan. We're going to do this together. We're going to work through this. And it has taken a lot of time and energy and effort to do it, a
Hmm.
lot more time than anybody ever thought it was going to take. But the end result is I've got people contributing ideas, so it's not just
Yes.
mine. We've got people coming up with, here's how to get this done. So
Yes.
they've got the buy-in, they've got the ownership, right? But it ultimately, I feel like it's going to be a lot more effective and impactful than if I just came down from on high and said, I spent a week in contemplation, and I've come up with this master plan, and here's what it is. Now go do it.
Hmm.
That's something that I think I've learned a little bit the hard way, because I tend to have a lot of ideas, and I tend to come up with a lot of things, and I think I have that I guess that visionary
Yes.
flaw where I have maybe too many ideas, and every once in a while a good one. So
But
yeah, for sure.
Brad, it's so, I mean, you're touching on so many things, because really what you're talking there was, first of all, when you're making the space, right? You're making the time, but also the psychological safety in it. Like, hey, we're going to do this, and I'm bringing this, but it's not mine, it's ours. So when you have ownership, well, there's also safety in that. Okay, is it really mine? Because they will test you. I mean, whoever you're working, is it really mine? So, and it does take that psychological safety. It takes that trust, right? This is where the leaders need to build that trust economy, that rapport, improve behind the words. But there's a certain point, right? I mean, because where you're bringing as a visionary, which is what leaders do, you cast vision. And it's the beautiful part, and I think that's what I'm hearing you describe, where it's not you driving it, you brought it in, you basically made an invitation to the table, but now they're bringing ideas, now they're seeing things that you don't see. And
Mhm.
that, what is that? That's innovation. That's you as an organization, you're innovating into something new. You're not only innovating into something new, you're optimizing what you currently have so you can give birth to this other new thing that you're going to be implementing. And
Yep.
that's really what we're calling, that's what we need. We need that for solopreneurs. We need that for entrepreneurs. We need that for organizations. And it's really amazing on how much you don't have to be bringing it all the time, because once you really have built that, and it takes time, once you have really built that, is then it really is an ownership. It really is a collaboration, and it really is going to have that collective impact
Yep.
internally. So you can go and execute externally, respond to, navigate to whatever comes our way.
Well, this is great stuff, and again, I'm just so excited and enjoying this conversation. I'm When you talk about innovation and you talk about
Mhm.
people systems, I'm curious. This is going to be a big topic for you to unpack, but just what are you seeing in terms of trends when it comes to culture, AI, and an implementation of AI? Because I mean that's a whole new world that we're all living in, with a lot of people implications there too. So what are you seeing in terms of that?
Okay, so I might become a little controversial in this one, so don't judge. We're talking. A couple of things. One, I think obviously AI has a lot of promise. It is able to do, I think, for like a visionary like you, you start looking at that and start sparking ideas. You're able to think faster. You're able to implement. So for those people that are looking for that innovation, they're looking for new ideas. Let me test this a bit. It's a great tool, because you're coming in from the expertise. You're coming in open-minded, yet not blindsided by all the things that come. So I think that's a great tool for that. The danger I see is where people start just being an input or receiving from the AI, and they're not creating themselves. They're expecting the AI to do the creation for them. They ingest the creation instead of
Hmm.
creators who we are. So, and I think that's where I believe 100% human centric, human
Hmm.
first. We're the
Yeah.
creators. I believe we have divine authority to create. Is what we've done. We created these tools. This tool is for the human. We have authority in the creation. I mean, it's everything that we do. I mean, look at what humanity has been able to accomplish. And
Hmm.
to give this power over willingly, surrendering to that, is a danger.
Hmm.
So this is where I find myself both motivated, because like, oh, I see the great potential, right? Because like, okay, it gets the creative uses going, but don't rely on that. But here's the other part. Unfortunately, I have seen and heard honestly leaders looking at AI as a way to replace, like, I don't want to deal with people. So because people, it's hard. People are complex. We're human beings are complex. So to looking at AI in a way to innovate to replace the human in the organization, I don't agree with that. I think and in anything, again, the AI is to equip you, is to develop you, is to take us to help us evolve,
Yeah.
but not to replace the human being that is precious, that is
Yeah.
so amazingly beautifully complex, and is a creator and an expert in what they do. So
Well,
I do see those both in innovation.
well, and I see both sides of that too. In fact, I mean, just in terms of the whole concept of AI replacing humans versus helping us. I mean,
Mhm.
I think there are probably more than likely scenarios where AI just makes sense to replace a person. Just the whole horse buggy versus car versus whatever you want to call it analogy. But
Right.
there's going to be certain types of roles where it just doesn't make any more sense, for a human to be doing these things. And that, I think, to your point, I think that's a small portion of
Mhm.
the end result of this. But the bigger part that I've learned is just the helping us do our jobs, right? Empowering us to be more productive, more effective. Take the collective wisdom of a lot of people, learning language, learning models, all that kind of good stuff, to help us be smarter about what we're doing. I'm one of the biggest, or used to be one of the biggest antagonists when it comes to AI. So I wasn't one of these visionaries going, "Ooh, AI, let's just use it everywhere and let's just try to do it." I was more like, "This sucks. I've not seen this be very helpful, right?" And then I've shifted my mindset a lot more over the last 6 months to be
Mhm.
open to it, trying to use it, trying to empower my team to start using it in productive ways. Um, and we have. It's not
Yeah.
replaced anybody, but it has helped us be a little bit better at what we do, and in some case more efficient. And I'll give you an example that I think is kind of cool. I mean, we've done like customer research on it. Hey, ChatGPT, go out and tell us everything you know about this customer,
Mhm.
before we have a call with them, so we can be more mindful of all the things that this customer's world is before we get on a call where we think it's about this, but really there's a bigger story there. We've done some things like that. We've also had, just I'm sure you've done like personality profiles, right? Where you've got DISC, Myers-Briggs, and all these different
Yeah.
things where, hey, you've got these people that are very touchy-feely, emotional, empathetic, intuitive, right? And then you've got these logical thinking, facts, whatever. Well, imagine you've got one of those thinking, factual people that's trying to communicate with a touchy-feely, emotional person, right?
Yeah.
There's a disconnect there. And so, again, just as an example, we've used AI a little bit to like, okay, help me rewrite this sentence, help me rewrite this message that I'm trying to send out in a more emotional, empathetic way, a kinder, friendlier way that might not be natural to me. And we've used it to do that kind of stuff. And it's really, I think it's actually helped quite a bit in some of our communication. And so,
Yeah.
um, but so I'm really warming up to it a lot more, but I do see the fact that there is a cultural impact here, and there are people that are worried about it, worried about their jobs. There's people that are worried about it being replaced. And so, how do you help companies navigate that type of systems change
Yeah.
where there's a big people component?
So if I can go back a little to, like, for example, like the example that you just gave me with like the emotional part, which I 100% like, help me write it more like direct, or help me write more and like people oriented, what they're committed to. Um I think it's great to help with do that, but also what needs to be behind the scenes, which is where I work with the people, is, are you committed to that? In meaning that if you get on the phone with them, or if they're in person with you, is there integrity in what they're seeing? Because
Mhm.
that's where for those companies that are using AI, for those companies that are heavy relying on that, where there's a disconnect that maybe be peeing from people that, hey, I mean, like being an entrepreneur, you know a lot of things about gut, right? Like, hey, this is feels right, it doesn't feel right. Where AI doesn't have that feeling. Like, does this feel right or it doesn't feel right? Some of the things even you were like, oh, I don't know about that. You know, like, can we try this? Because we're going through like experience and gut and all of this parts, right? Meaning, but it also does it sound like me? Does it sound like even something I would say? I know I'm adapting to you, but does it sound like what I'm doing? So where the disconnect happens and those that are implementing that is one is they may not know who they are. That's where culture becomes even a bigger part because not only am I going to be adapting to the style because we're looking to connect, right? I mean, that's one of the main things in business and serving somebody. The main goal is we got to connect, right? People do business with whom they like, who they know, who they trust. So in order to trust, we got to connect. So really what you're talking about when using a lot of these tools and why do we for marketing and how do I adapt? It's because we're looking for a faster way that we can start establishing that trust. So we can
Mhm.
go into an arena where we're seeing, do I have services that are going to help you? The disconnect comes in is if, you know, I come into the arena thinking that, hey, you understand me, all of these things, and then the other person really doesn't know. So it saves time in finding out about what this client needs. So can we as organizations give the time to the person to whoever it is, a salesperson, the customer rep, the organization, to also find out what are the commitments that I need to have to be able to serve them in the way that we're saying. Because it does save time. So where am I looking at finding and helping the organizations is one is you got to know culturally who you are because it has to be your voice. You know, you can tell AI, make me sound like so-and-so or make me sound like this or make me sound like that. Well,
Yeah.
that's great. But then the receiving end, are they going to think you're that and they come and meet with you and you're not that? And it's like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
I'm moving away. So, and that goes back again, having a strong culture in an organization, meaning I know who we are, I know how we do things, I know who we are for. I am confident as a team member of what it is that we bring to the table. Is going to help that establishment, that time that was cut in that report with the AI, just multiply it and be exponential. So the work that I see I'm where I'm being needed with the organizations is that it's easy to start relying, well, does this sound good? Then we start losing confidence. Well, guess what? Leaders that are not confident are leaders that are not making decisions.
Hmm.
And that's what leadership is needed for, to make decisions.
Right.
So at the end of the day, use the tool as a tool, but use the time savings for preparing in what you need to do to become that better that performance, to be able to give, to add value to the others.
Yeah.
But I cannot put my
Hmm.
identity into what this tool says or who I should be, because then I start losing my
Yeah.
confidence. Then a tool becomes smarter than the person who's using it. We can't do that. And as leaders, we need to
Yeah.
put confidence into our team members that they're the team members. They're the ones, they're the leaders.
You know what's interesting about what you just said, and a light bulb just went off
Yay.
for me that I want just kind of share. Just kind of interesting. So I use the example of um, hey, I'm kind of cold and just very very factual, logical, and hey, let me see if AI can help me rewrite this in a more emotional, empathetic, relational way, right? Um, that's an easy thing to do, and the tool can help you with that.
Hmm.
But I think the problem, and this is where the shift that you helped me just realize may come in here. It's very easy then just go copy, paste, and me hit the email, send, and I'm done. But I'm still thinking cold, logical,
Correct.
right? So how can I then use this tool that just showed me a better way to make me better and more understanding and more relational, right? Not just coming across that way,
Right.
but how can I actually interpret the difference between A and B that I just realized and learn from that. Um, the revised version started out with a connection bridge. Hey, I hope you had a good holiday season
Right.
versus where's my report?
Where's
You know,
my
there
report?
was a so there was some attempt to establish rapport before I asked for what I needed. And I asked you how your day was. And I also
Mhm.
let you know how much I appreciate you for the thing that you gave me last week. Oh gosh, I guess I maybe should do that.
Yeah. Well, that's where the alignment comes in, right? I mean, that goes into like, hey, I believe if you sent it, do you believe that that better serves the recipient? And if you believe it better serves the recipient, well, how can I align to when that recipient connects with me? They're really, I am who they think I am, who I'm representing myself. So can I? It brings awareness, right? Like, oh yeah, that does sound better. And yes, that did respond. It brings awareness, right? But then it comes the next part. What's my commitment to that? Okay, so I'm aware. I'm aware of a lot of things. Doesn't mean I'm
Yeah,
gonna change and everything. Can I change everything? Do I really need to change that? Is
right.
it really going to help? So again, that goes back to alignment. When you're in alignment, you know your priorities. If connecting with people or being able to the being able to have that broader appeal or even performance with communication, which I think it does, is if it makes you a better leader, then okay, now there's awareness and acknowledgement, like, hey, there's a gap. I see the gap because now this tool has shown me how I would do it and how they would do it. Then understanding how I can fill that gap, of course, for that coaching,
Yeah,
performance assessments. But it is that alignment because that sees you like, hey, I want to serve better. And now I've just been shown a way that I believe is better.
yeah.
How do I come into alignment with that?
Yeah, yeah. I love it, love it, love it. Well, hey, let's shift gears a little bit because you mentioned coaching. And so I know that you are a Maxwell leadership team
Mhm.
coach. So tell us a little bit about that and some of the lessons that you've learned being a coach and also some of the things that you've helped clients do.
Yeah, well, so coaching is one of the things I do. My really what I'm a leadership strategist. That's what I really see that I best serve. And for that, coaching is amazing because I really do believe that as you're leading anything, you need to be able to coach. So in learning to not only be able to serve the executives, it's also teaching the executives to coach their teams because that's essentially where innovation comes in. You know, it's not going to be somebody from the outside. Is in coaching, you really are able to bring already what's the goal that's inside that person out. And I believe that in organizations as well. And I also believe that the leaders, the executives, the people that are running the organizations are best positioned to do that, to bring the gold out. So I serve in one being able to see the gap. And with Maxwell, one of the things that we say in the team, which is one of the main pillars, is that we are people of value that value others, that add value to them.
Mm,
So, in order for that, is I need to grow as myself. You know, in order to, I can't grow myself if I don't know myself. So, knowing who I am, being aware, seeing acknowledgement, seeing that there are
yeah,
things that I want to change. So, be able to do that. I help people also see that part because a lot of times they'll have blind spots. We all do. So that's why we
yeah,
need coaches. That's why we need communities. But the other part is in valuing others. So I believe in values-based leadership. I see time and time again, we are in a trust deficit. And honestly, it's a global, again, epidemic. If you see that in the Alderman Trust Barometer, the percentage is over 64% of the people do not trust organizations. That means
mm,
they don't trust the systems inside. They don't trust the leaders. The leaders are
yeah,
the ones that are running the system.
yeah.
So we have a big mountain right now, which honestly, when we're talking about a trust economy, we are collapsing. And
Mm,
as leaders, you cannot be the best leader or lead to the innovation if you yourself are not growing in that trust bank account. So I help leaders with that. And that is, I believe the solution for that is the values-based leadership. When you know your values and you're able to lead with those values and help other people lead with values, that trust economy goes up. And then adding value to them and being able to see, well, where is it that you want to go? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And not only become goal oriented, but really become growth oriented. One of my favorite quotes is that the goal is not nearly as important as what you become in achieving that goal. And I believe
right. Journey. Yeah.
as a strategist, as a coach, it's really is that becoming. So I love to walk with leaders in that becoming to achieving that goal, identifying that goal and the becoming.
I love it. I love it. Well, let me ask you this. So, like for somebody that's listening right now or watching this episode, that may not be aware of their own gaps. They may not be aware of their own areas that they need to, maybe see some significant improvement in. Maybe they've never received the feedback.
Yeah.
What's something easy for them to be able to do, maybe on their own, sort of I don't know if there's a self-assessment or something, but just what's something that they can do to help them be more aware of those gaps?
Okay, well, I for that I have my little alignment method that I like to use as beat, and it goes from the heartbeat, and that is believe, engage, act, transform. So a really quick check is this is something that I came up with as actually I was a teenager battling a terminal diagnosis, and
Oh my
I
goodness.
had to just take breaths, just be able to move forward. I was very limited in what I could do, and didn't even know my potential because that was fighting trying to breathe. So
Yeah.
B came from the one choice that you have right now that nobody can stop you from, and that's believe. So I would say the first check is, what is your belief right now? It says believe, engage, act, transform. Transform means the results that you're getting. So is your belief matching the results that you're seeing? That will be the first question.
Hmm.
Because either you got to change what result you want to see, because a nightmare is trying to reach something you're never gonna, you don't even know what you're trying to reach, or you change your belief, which is very easy. You just quickly check your belief. So when you check your belief, engage with what helps you with that belief. And that means that the resources, not that you have to get something else, but what do I currently have in my pocket? Who's in my court? Where am I right now? And engage with that. What can I engage with that's going to help that belief? And then take a small little action. Just a mini shift is what I call them. Just a small action. What one small thing? Could it be sending a text? Could it be making a phone call? Could it be looking up something on the internet? Could it be going outside and for 15 minutes today? Just do a small action that's going to get you closer to that belief. And is a transformation that you're experiencing, that transform part, is it in alignment with that belief? Because if it's not, if do you feel better? How is it? Maybe you're not. Maybe like you're more confused now. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You just go back to the curious. So just first thing, just think of heartbeat. The believe, engage, act, transform. Check your belief.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to go one level deeper. And
Uh-huh.
so give me an example. So like let's say again, somebody's sitting here and they've heard the suggestion there, BEAT. Give us like an example of what that would look like. What's a belief? What would be in a way to engage? What it would be an action? And then how do you evaluate that transformation? Just kind of give us a little bit more clarity on that.
Sure. So a lot of times it's not, I don't know what I believe, but I have thoughts. Then maybe the thought is today is like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I'm never going to catch up. So that's a belief. That thought comes through like, I'm never going to catch up.
Okay.
So is that never going to catch up going to lead to the transformation I want? No, never going to catch up is not what I want. So what belief do I need to do to change that? So the belief is that I can catch up,
Okay.
can catch up with some things, not all things. So engage. Well, what are the things that I think I need to catch up with right now? Because I don't need to, I mean, I don't need to do everything. What
Right.
one thing do I need to catch up with right now? Right now, I need to catch up with emails. Would catching up with my emails make me feel better? Maybe not. Maybe I have voicemails. Yeah, maybe, hey, I only have two voicemails. Maybe I can catch up with that. So you engage with what you currently have. Okay, well, let's catch up with a phone call. So the act is like, well, actually do the phone call, catch up from the voicemail, do the action, and then the transform. The transform is even that feeling. Okay, how do I feel now? Do I feel like I can't catch up with something? Well, you check. Well, I did catch up with that one phone call. I did it was a small step towards doing something,
Yeah.
and I did, it's a very quick thing. So how do I feel? You check, how do you feel? Well, I
Right.
feel I did something. So it immediately invalidates that I'm never gonna catch up. I'm never gonna
Okay.
do anything. Does
This,
that make
this,
sense?
yeah, it does. It does. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the explanation because it's a lot clearer for me. And hopefully it'll be a lot clearer for somebody else too, because I know a lot of people, yeah, that sit around. I mean, every couple of weeks, I'll look at my inbox and go, oh my God, it's like, I'm never going to get through this. Right. And then, so
Yeah.
I'll spend a weekend and I'll plow through it and I'll get it from 200 to zero. And every once in a while, I just need to do that to make me feel better about my inbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if I was sitting here believing that I'm never gonna ever be able to address it, it's going to go from 200 to 14,000 over the next 2 years, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I need to shift that, and that belief is, no, I can get a handle on this stuff. I can
Yeah.
go through my inbox and I can prioritize and I can get rid of the stuff that I can delegate, right? There's ways of working through it. And I know you're not just talking about inboxes, but
Yeah, but it's a real thing. It's a legit
yeah,
thing. I get that
it,
too. Like I look at my inbox like, ah.
it could be a belief that, we just can't do anything right in this organization.
Yeah,
We try all these different things and nothing works, and so why try, right? The
I
other
have to do everything.
the other belief
Something
is,
like that.
hey, we are smart enough, we can figure this out, or hey, we can go hire someone to help us figure this out.
Hmm.
um Engage, you take action, and then see the transformation when you've done it. So no, I
Yeah.
think that's incredibly actionable advice. So really appreciate you sharing that. And so, as we conclude our episode today, I'm just curious, if somebody said, hey, I really enjoyed the topic, I really enjoyed hearing from Hanna, and they wanted to reach out to you to get some help on a leadership, C-suite, board level, advisory and coaching, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, well, you can go to my website, heartnomics.com. And actually, I have a alignment assessment. There's a complimentary one
Okay.
that people can take for their individual alignment or for their organizational alignment. So that will be a quick way that you can take a pulse check, is what I call them, and see where you are in alignment internally. And I would love to invite the listeners. That way we'll see you like, well, what do I need to, where would I like to focus in? So it's a quick assessment and treat for y'all.
Perfect. So that's Heartnomics, not
Yeah.
heartnomics.com.
Heartnomics.com.
Okay.
Yes. Look me on
Perfect.
LinkedIn. I'm active in there as well.
Hanna Bauer, Bauer.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hey, Hanna, thank you so much for being on the show, and really, again, appreciate the insights and the perspectives that you've been able to share with our audience.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's watching, again, hopefully this was helpful to you. I really encourage you to take some of the advice that Hanna shared, and really apply it, not just in your organization, but you individually. If you're an owner, if you're a leader, what are the gaps that you have? What are some of those gaps? And if you're just not sure, maybe ask around, maybe take Hanna's assessment, but really just kind of get some help, and use that BEAT approach too for getting some quick wins. So thanks for joining, and again, we'll see you next week. There is a Solution for That is produced by VARC Solutions. This episode was produced by Ashley White and Aaron Riley. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Watch the video version on youtube.com/theresaSolutionforThat. Or visit varcsolutions.com/podcast, where you'll find our entire podcast archive, as well as show notes, links to solution providers, and complete transcripts of every episode. If you love the podcast, please leave a review with your comments.